Hey y'all, Ramdino here, coming at you from in between storms in North Carolina. Well, I want to fulfill a promise I made to you during my last update video about the celebration of the 2019 Appalachian Trail Thru Hikers. To see what that promise was and to listen to me fulfill it, stick around. Well, exactly what was that promise? Well, I promised to fill y'all in on all the ins and outs that I could on the Appalachian Trail kickoff, which takes place at Amicalola Falls State Park in Georgia. Now, what is Amicalola Falls State Park? Well, if you guys know anything at all about the Appalachian Trail and thru hikers, you know that that is where the approach trail starts to Springer Mountain. Springer Mountain being the southern terminus. So, that approach trail is about 8.5, give or take some, miles long to get to Springer Mountain. But at Amicalola Falls State Park, that is where you go and register for your thru hike if you're heading NOBO. Or you can register online, but that's where you go and pick up your tag, your official bag tag that they give you to send you on your way for your 2019 thru hike on the Appalachian Trail. So what's the kickoff? Well, the kickoff is just a weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, where everybody gets together, old thru hikers, wannabe thru hikers, thru hiker groupies, just section hikers, just a hiker community lollapalooza getting together up at Amicalola Falls State Park and just having a good time. Now, there'll be a lot of vendors there. And there'll be some authors and people like that. There'll be hostel owners, other people that are there to ply their wares for you and chat you up and try to convince you to come spend money with them or at their place, and that's great. That's one way of doing it. There'll be a lot of information given out. So there'll be a lot of people talking in sessions that'll last from anywhere from an hour to 2 hours or longer. And they'll tell you about the state of the trail and just what's going on. I'll leave down in the description section exactly who the vendors are, and I'll leave you a link down there to the actually the Amicalola Falls State Park Appalachian Trail kickoff, and I'll also leave you a time schedule of what's going on. So I saw on one website where it said there's hundreds of vendors there. There's not hundreds of vendors there, at least not what I can determine just by looking at the website for Amicalola Falls State Park and the kickoff. There is quite a few vendors, but they're not all equipment vendors. And to be honest with you, there's not as many equipment vendors as I have seen in the past and as I would have liked to have seen this year. But beggars can't be choosy, and so you go to whatever interests you, and it doesn't cost anything to go to these sessions, and you just plug in, and I'm sure there'll be information, but there'll also be a Q&A portion of it. So what are the accommodations like? Well, I've been having trouble getting that information from the park down there because you go to their website and it says they're having problems with their phone system and their lodging reservation system. And when you call them on the phone, all you get is an answer machine. So they must have some big time problems down there. But I'm going to persevere. I'm going to find all that information out, and I'm going to get back to you. All right, so was not able to get through to them yesterday. Their phone service was out into the night. So I came home early today from the Matrix, and to get this video out for you, I was able to get in touch with them finally. And looks like their website's up and their phone service is up. So thought I'd go ahead and give you the rest of the information I got. So how much does it cost? Well, it costs you $5 per car to get into the park. That's at the front gate. And then you'll have to pay another $10 per person per night to camp at Tent City. And so the Tent City is like a one-time-a-year thing they have there that they do just for the Appalachian Trail kickoff. And it'll be there in a field, kind of right across from a little small path of the visitor center. And there's kind of a little playground area there, so that's where they'll be having putting up the Tent City. You can come into the park and leave as you want to. They'll give you a hanger to put on your car, And so as long as you got that hanging on your rearview mirror and it's got the correct date on it, you can come and go as you want to. There is overflow. What they indicated to me was that they allow 25 tents there. Well, I was number 24 to reserve a spot. So that means there's one more spot. However, she said there is overflow. She didn't indicate where that was, but she said that there was overflow and they never turned anybody away. So, you know, in the past when I've seen other people's videos, it looked like there was more than 25 tents there, but she's promised she won't turn anybody away. So even if you don't have reservations, then go ahead and show up down there. I also asked if it was level. She said it was level, so take that for what it's worth. I did ask her if you can hammock camp, and she said at the place they have it designated for Tent City, there are no trees there to put your hammock up in. So I asked her, I said, so that means no hammock camping? She goes, yep, that means no hammock camping. So sorry if you're a hammock camper exclusively, there is no place for you there. So bring you a tent if you can get a hold of one, and so that you can go and be a part of that there. There are restroom facilities there at Tent City, and there is also showers there, according to the visitor center folks. I asked her about restaurants in the park, and there's really only one restaurant. That's the Maple Restaurant. It's pretty pricey. Here's their price list. It's like $12.99 for breakfast and $15.95 or $15.49 for lunch, and 21 bucks or something like that for supper. They call it dinner. I'm from the South. I call it supper. So it must have been a Yankee that made up that website. But anyway, it is awful pricey, and so that's the only place in the park to eat. Now, I asked them if there's any, you know, how close fast food restaurants are or what have you. And so there is a town of Dahlonega that's nearby. There is Dawsonville that's nearby. She said that the people that work in the park, their favorite place to go is to a little grill nearby, and I can't remember what the name was. She told me there's like a restaurant, or not a restaurant, a grocery store / gas station / grill, where she has said they had pizza and biscuits and hamburgers and hot dogs and things like that. So all the food that a growing hiker could possibly want. So that's probably where most people will be going and eating there. The food at the lodge at the Maple restaurant is buffet style. So you know, that expense may not be something that you want to deal with. Asked her about having a fire, and she goes, you cannot have individual fires, but they will have a fire pit, and the park will furnish the firewood. So don't bring any firewood, particularly if you're coming from out of state, because they don't allow any out of the park firewood there, just to keep any type of you know, invasive species of insects or anything like that would might hitch a ride on your firewood that you bring from home, that would come in there and damage the trees in the park or spread that invasive species. So they'll have firewood for you, and it'll be up to us to make sure that the home fires keep burning throughout the course of the time while we're there. They indicate it's about a mile walk from where Tent City and the Visitor Center is up to the lodge, and that's where I'm presuming the talks will be and where the vendors will be. I don't know that for certain. I didn't ask, but didn't see any other place for them to be there. So if you've been to the ATKO before and they're not at the lodge, and leave a comment in the comment section down there and fill us all in on where the vendors and everybody will be. Now, what she did say is that the State Park Service will have a shuttle bus going around, and so they'll shuttle you from the Tent City up to the lodge for meals if you want to go up there and drop a fortune, or up there for the vendors and the programs if that's where they're going to be. The one thing about the vendors that I noticed is that I saw on a different website where it said there was hundreds of vendors. I don't think there's going to be hundreds of vendors there. From what I could gather looking at their website, they had a list, and I'll leave a link to that in the description section, but they had a list of who were going to be the vendors, and there really wasn't that many. I mean, probably in the neighborhood of around, I don't know, 25 or so, and from what I can tell, there's only going to be about 6 of those are gear vendors. There's the Appalachian Trail Conservancy and the Long Distance Hikers Association, and a lot of associations and conservancies going to be there. There'll be some hostel owners there to talk to you about staying at their hostels. They'll and of course there'll be some vendors. There'll be some authors there, but I only count about 6 vendors, so I would have liked to have had more than 6 vendors there, equipment vendors. Hopefully we'll be there more, and that's just not an accurate count that they've got on their website there. The programs that they have on Friday, they'll have one at 5 and one at 6 o'clock, and then they're from 9 to 5 on Saturday and 9 to 1 on Sunday. They last about an hour. I know in my intro I said that they would last 2 hours or more. They don't. It looks like they're only lasting about an hour. So I'll leave a link in the description section down here that has that you can get to their website, and you can pull up what their programs are going to be. I'll also leave their phone number where you can call and get you a reserved spot for this weekend. I would go ahead and do that. It's not necessary that you pay anything now. They didn't require me to pay it. They just took down my name and how many people and how many tents I would have coming with me, and that was it. My cell phone and my name. That was it. So they said I would pay when I got there, and all you do is you just check in at the visitor center, give them your name, and pay your $10, and you're golden, according to what they told me. So I won't go over all the programs or anything. For me, it looks like the biggest program is just going to be the hiker community get together and mingling with each other and chatting, hiking, swapping hiking stories, and just having a good old time. I'm looking forward to it. If you are a Thru hiker this year, particularly one that we're following as a vlogger or a blogger, I'd really like to get with you and look for me. I'll be wearing this hat. Of course, there'll probably be 400 other people there that are wearing this hat, but in any case, look for me. And I'd like to do a little interview with you, and so that as we're tracking you along the way through the updates that we have on our YouTube channel, that we can kind of get to know you a little better that way, and continue to track you all the way to Katahdin, or from Katahdin down to Springer, or whatever you're doing there, however you're doing your hike. So if you're an upcoming Thru hiker or past Thru hiker, I'd like to sit down and chat with you too. If you're a section hiker, I want to sit down and chat with you. If you know a hiker, I want to sit down and chat with you. So anybody in the hiking community, I'd like to sit down and just have a good time, get to meet you and chat with you. I love meeting people and just getting to know people. So it'll be interesting to see how many people that show up down there, and how many people I get a chance to talk to. So be on the lookout for me, and be also on the lookout for my weekly Appalachian Trail Thru hiker update that I'll be dropping within the next day or so. And look for those updates. And we got a lot of action that's been happening on the trail this week, even though it's been wet weather. And we've got actually picked up quite a few new vloggers and new bloggers. So look forward to sharing that with you. Well, that's about all I got right now. As always, appreciate you, and we'll see you at ATKO.